Jobe, some disappointing news this morning after consulting with Reedy in regards to your injury from Saturday night.
Yeah, we flew back yesterday, and Reedy was pretty adamant for me to go and get a scan straight away. So went and got it scanned, and sort of late yesterday afternoon he called with some bad news, and it was worse than what we'd thought. And after consulting with Julian Feller and Reedy this morning, I'm going to go in and have surgery tomorrow.
So how long will you spend out of the game, and what is the exact injury? Because there's been some contention around your hip flexor sort of area, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a rec fem tendon, but in a sort of unusual spot, and the reason there was sort of it was difficult to diagnose is Bruce hasn't seen the injury before, and so he wasn't sure whether it was a hip flexor, and it didn't really behave like a normal quad, and so there was some confusion. And then once the scan showed that there was some damage to the tendon, it was apparent that this is what had occurred.
So surgery tomorrow. How many weeks on the sidelines does it look like at this stage?
Well, it's difficult to know, but it's a sort of an 8 to 10 week injury. But it'll tendons behave differently from person to person, and there's not a lot of test cases on the suitable time for recovery. So it'll really just depend on how the body handles it, and that is a little bit uncertain.
Is there a glimmer of hope though that you could be back? Should we make finals this year?
Look, there is. I suppose what I really want to do is just make sure that the injury heals properly and make sure that it's right. So, the time frame is a bit irrelevant, I think, to make sure that the injury is right and that the tendon is properly healed, and then just see where that leaves us in terms of what time of the year it is. Obviously, it'd be great to come back, and if the team's playing finals, then it'd be wonderful to be a part of it. But obviously, you just got to make sure that the injury heals itself, and that's the priority.
Is there a sort of a rough time frame in regards to how long before you can get back into some form of training? Do you know?
Look, speaking with Julian, he's sort of estimating that it'll be sort of a couple of weeks of rest, and then after 2 weeks or so, be able to start movement and things like that again, and other forms of cross training. But it'll be it's sort of at different stages, because it's it's a muscle and area that you use when you're kicking. That might be the slower part of the recovery.
Do you remember when it actually happened? The incident occurred during the game.
Yeah, it was out of a centre square, and I kicked and sort of got pushed in the back and or through the hips, and I think that in that kicking motion, then being arched, it's sort of obviously it's stretched the tendon beyond where it likes to go, and so it was sort of in a kicking action, and that's why I thought initially it was a quad, and unfortunately it's sort of more serious than just a regulation muscle tear.
And you mentioned that it's quite rare. There's only been a couple of cases previously that the club's aware of and Reedy's aware of.
Yeah, well, none in Reedy's time, and I think there's a case of a sprinter having the injury, and he obviously made a full recovery. So an Olympic sprinter. So there's not a lot of cases of it. It's probably something that gets misdiagnosed. People just think it's a quad injury, but it was Reedy's first experience with it.
So from here, you'll go have some surgery. Will you be able to obviously help out in the coach's box or take on some extra roles to sort of pass the time while you're in recovery and rehab?
Yeah, look, I think that I have the surgery tomorrow. It'll probably lie low for a week or two, and just sort of let the wounds heal, and then start to get back to the club and look to find out where I can help the team and help the coaching staff, and then get back into sort of a rehab mode and try and get it healed as strong as possible.
What about the leadership group? The guys will have to stand up. Who's going to step in and take on the captain's armband?
I don't know who'll take the armband, but the reason I suppose leadership groups became in vogue is because if one went down, then there was numerous people who could, help out rather than just being a vice captain or something like that. So, the leadership group, I think, is very capable of, handling what we do from day to day, and I think that we've got some young guys in there who've really stepped up and have added a lot, and then we've obviously got some experience in there. So I don't think that there'll be too big an issue with the group or myself not being out there.
And how do you see the team's form at the moment? We've strung 2 wins together, and a big game against Melbourne this weekend coming up.
Yeah, look, I thought we grounded the win out really well on Saturday night. Sometimes you don't sort of play great styles of footy, but you find a way to win, and that's what we did. And I thought we were a lot better against Richmond a couple of weeks ago, and a team, Melbourne, who are obviously playing today in a big game for them, to be able to play them again in a week's time. They put Port to the rung a bit, and really showed them that they've made a huge amount of improvement. So the side's going to have to play well to beat them, and obviously there's going to be some changes in who comes in, but I think the group is capable of knocking them off, and then looking for the next sort of month ahead.
Jade, thanks for your time. All the best for surgery tomorrow, and we wish you a speedy recovery.
Thanks very much.